All right, dude. Okay, ready?
Let's fucking do it.
So we're about to leave Dominaria.
We're leaving
We're leaving it. Well, does that mean we're not
on a
gonna
jet plane.
Does that mean we're not gonna revisit any of the cards from there?
Well, so I think it's kind of a difficult thing this time of year because we just got Core 2019. We've got Commander 2018 coming out. So it sort of makes this thing of, when are we going to have time to go back and address some of these Dominaria legends,
Right.
of which there's a shit ton, right? Like there's a lot of content we could spend the whole year.
Yeah, there is a lot
talking about Dominaria.
Okay.
So
I did something stupid and I made a shit ton of deck lists from the Legends of Dominaria.
Okay.
And I want to go over some that are good, or at least some that I think would be interesting.
Yeah.
One is objectively not that great, but it's one of a kind, I guess. Like at least as far as the commander goes.
Sure.
I think pretty much there's only two ways to do it, and then there's one that I found that was I found as a Reddit post. This guy's idea to try to win around triskaidekaphobia.
Oh, dope!
So definitely want to give that dude credit in the show notes.
Sure,
when I put it.
Sure, we'll make sure that's posted.
This one's, yeah, I like it. I like the idea. It's jank as hell. And then one other one that I think is kind of circulating around from Dominaria that's been covered in a couple different places, but I'm just so into it. I think we got to talk about it.
Okay.
Do you have any?
I also have Valduk.
So
one edition.
We never covered that ever.
So I think we kind of like
talked
we talked about it when it was spoiled, like
sure.
Well, not spoiled, when it was leaked, and then officially when it was out. But I think there's some depth that we can maybe add to it just really quickly.
I feel like we no, maybe we didn't. Maybe you were just talking like you were going to. You had like a Danitha, or not Danitha.
Yeah, so I had this idea, like, because I think when they came out, I was like, they're really kind of pushing the brawl ticket with Tiana, Valduk, Danitha, Tashar. They all seem to kind of have
format that died in 3 months.
Yeah, right. It's kind of funny to see people posting about brawl, and I'm just kind of like, we thought about it.
Yeah.
Never got around to it. I put together a part of a list, and I was just kind of like, fuck, this is dog shit. I just want to play Commander.
Well, especially, I think what sucks is that it rotates. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
if it was something like a different, I think there's just been attempts at different types of like Commander-esque formats. Like, I don't know if you remember like Tiny Leaders.
Oh, yeah.
Where it was like, I think the CMC of the Commander could only be 3, and then everything in the deck had to be, I think, at least 3 or less.
Okay.
I think. I could be wrong. I remember at least being 3.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's just a weird format. Like it just
it's
is
bizarre.
just strange.
It's so niche.
Yeah. It just, why limit yourself? That was not that's the point of other form. Like if you want to limit yourself, like play Pauper or just play Standard or block Constructed. But if you want to like have your cards be eternally lasting forever and with very, very limitations on your ability to build stuff, that's what the Commander's for.
Like Brawl has the appeal of maybe potentially being kind of a bridge from being a new player to starting to get into Commander-esque formats.
Sure.
But the other problem, and then I think we just need to dive into our content here, is that they had, like it got broken immediately. Like Brawl was just within weeks, hands down, the best commander for Brawl. And, and so it kind of became this thing. Yeah, exactly. It just became this thing of like, well, they need to make their own ban list for Brawl. I don't know. Okay. Let's dive in, dude.
We better set to work on this.
Who you got for me first?
So you want to hear about Slimefoot, Tetsuko, Torgaar, or Traxos?
Dude, I'm actually like really interested in Traxos to see what you've got.
Okay.
So let's do Traxos.
Traxos was kind of like sleeper legend. I think he was really good in draft or, in sealed because he's just big and hard to deal with.
Yeah, yeah.
So he's 4 mana for a legendary artifact creature constructed giant dog.
Giant dog.
7/7, trample. Traxos Scourge of Krug enters the battlefield tapped and doesn't untap during your untap step. So he's pretty much like locked when he comes in.
Okay.
Whenever you cast a historic spell, untap Traxos. So to remind everybody what historic was, it's the super type, which is sub side type, which is artifacts, legendaries, and sagas are historic.
Yes.
Yeah. So the deck is kind of set up, and I'm not even going to do like a super detailed thing, but a lot of what I put in here either punishes people and brings them down to your kind of setting of, well, I can't untap shit, so you're not going to untap shit.
Oh, okay.
So the Winter Orb's in here. It's probably the strongest card. As long as the Winter Orb is untapped, players can't untap more than 1 land during their untapped steps. I put a lot of mana rocks in, so I really wasn't feeling too confident about Static Orb, which limits you to 2 permanents.
Okay.
So
Winter Orb really kind of fits into that spot where you're like, I'm going to get the benefit from my artifacts, but nobody's benefiting from lands.
And then Orb of Dreams, it's 3 mana. Permanents come into play tapped. But you have stuff like the Unwinding Clock, the Clock of Omens that untap artifacts.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You have in the list a lot of mana rocks, so this Winter Orb kind of doesn't really slow you down. It is the Dream Orb of Dreams cut does a little bit.
Sure.
I put the Damping Sphere in. If a land is tapped for 2 or more mana, it produces colorless instead, and of any other type and amount. So it just reduces it down to colorless.
Like you've become a waste.
Yeah. So if anyone has like a Cage Sun or I think Mirari's Wake or Zendikar Resurgent or Mana Reflection.
Yeah.
And then each spell a player casts costs 1 more to cast for each other spell that player casts this turn. I don't think you're really going to be resolving a lot here, meaning the whole deck is colorless. You'll resolve like a couple things. Cursed Totem, players cannot play any creature abilities requiring an activation cost.
Okay.
You don't have any, no one else is going to have any.
Yeah. That's actually an interesting one.
Amulet of Vigor, whenever a permanent enters the battlefield, tapped, under your control, untap it. So for 1 mana, he'd actually be ready to block.
Okay.
I guess the turn 4 that you drop him.
Yeah.
So yeah, the whole thing's, I don't know, I've never actually done a colorless deck. Like they've just...
It's kind of a bizarre thing. I'm just thinking, I'm like, do I have the lands that I could even build this deck?
You can actually use wastes. I wouldn't recommend doing a lot of them. So most of the list I have, if you're going to do a land base for this, you probably want the Urza's Mine, Power Plant, and Tower.
Okay.
I don't know. Do you know what those do?
No, read them off to me.
So there's a whole deck archetype built around these lands called Tron.
Sure.
Right, Urzatron. So Urza's Mine is tap, add 1 mana to your mana pool. If you control Urza's Power Plant and Urza's Tower, you add 2 to your mana pool instead. The Power Plant does the same thing. So it adds for 1 mana, but if you control the other 2, it adds 2. So those together add 4. And then if you control Tower, you add 3. So if you have all 3 of them, you can produce 7 colorless mana for only tapping 3 permanents.
Gotcha.
So there's
package of getting like just a shit ton of mana.
There's a very famous legacy deck, 2 versions of it actually that try to get these lands into play. Yeah. And then there's I think there's a Modern Tron. I'm almost positive.
I know there's a Modern Tron. I've never
Legacy Tron is a big deal. I think the Legacy Tron's the most expensive deck that exists.
Interesting.
I think. So a lot of that kind of stuff. Conduit of Ruin, because you can tutor out any colorless creatures. Endbringer untaps during each other player's untap step.
Okay.
So you're able to use him to untap things. The Lodestone Golem 4 for a artifact creature golem, non-artifact creature spells cost 1 more to cast.
Okay.
So yeah, that's pretty much the idea. Like, we're not going to go into super detail because I have more decks to go over.
Yeah, but it's pretty basic of you are giving yourself the benefit of being able to untap this low CMC commander for the size of body it has.
Right.
And then also bringing everybody to a sort of grinding halt.
Yeah.
If you don't have as many resources as you need.
So it's a little stacksy. I don't know if you could handle running smokestacks because you don't have enough permanents to donate to it.
Sure.
So it's a little bit of just like the untap locking kind of side of it.
Okay, yeah.
There's artifacts, equipment that I put in there. Pretty much you just want to get him 4 more power. So I have the Bard Battle Gear, which gives him a +4, -1. So he becomes an 11/6.
Oh, so he's on a 2
But it's
a
3 and a
shot.
2. So yeah, he's in a 2-shot range. Giving him Death Touch is actually fucking dope because he's trample. So they got to commit a lot of creatures to not take some damage because you can do one.
Yeah, because you commit
and
one creature and then it takes the 1 damage necessary and rolls over.
I like Death Touch a lot. I think Death Touch is like my favorite keyword because of what it does.
It's
in Commander, people don't want to attack you. People don't block you.
Yeah.
You can pierce through big creatures with it.
Yeah.
Because if they have a 20/20 in the way and you attack with this 7/7, you do 1 damage to the 20 and the rest of their face because you only need lethal damage to trample the rest.
Exactly.
So yeah, Basilisk Collar, Gorgon's Head. There's another one that's like Gorgon's Flail, but the mana requirement's a little too high. I put the Batterskull in there because it does 2 things for him.
Okay.
Puts him in the 2-shot range and gives him vigilance. So you don't.
So you don't have to tap to go into combat in that case, and you don't have to do other cute tricks
to keep him up because he'll never untap until you resolve an artifact or a historic spell.
That's actually really good.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the idea with this bad boy. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that sticks out about this list.
I'm kind of intrigued by this kind of stuff a little bit because I was just kind of looking at in the top cards, All Is Dust being in there.
I have that here too.
Like that's
an expensive card.
Yeah, like the type of stuff that, typically you're not going to have a place to use it. But
I found I had to be pretty. I mean, you have to take what you can get. It's almost like worse than red and white, the colorless. So like to give you an idea of one, I'm just like gotta fucking do it. Is Null Brooch. It's 4 mana. You can pay 2, discard your hand, counter target non-creature spell. Play this ability as an interrupt.
Okay. Just got to take what you can get. Huh?
Yeah, let's say it's just something that cannot happen. Like somebody's launching a Vandal Blast. It's like, I can't have that happen.
Yeah, this deck
I'd rather ditch my hand.
Everything.
Yeah, that's actually probably okay for a red deck, honestly. And then like in the instants and sorceries areas, like I've got Not of This World because it would cost 0 to counter something that targets him. Scour from Existence because you gotta take what you can get.
Yeah.
Spatial Contortion. It's 1 in a colorless. Target creature gets +3, -3 until end of turn. That might help you get the last lethal in with him, but it's just the best removal I guess you can do. For
You're like, I gotta remove somehow.
Warping Whale. It's 1 and a diamond. Just throw 1 in for 1 and one must be colorless. It says exile creature with power or toughness of 1 or less. That might be something that comes up.
Yeah.
I don't know. But the big one is it just says counter target sorcery spell. Or you can create an Eldrazi. But the really thing is counter target sorcery spell.
It's
all board wipes. Minus
right.
Cyclonic Rift.
Right.
Now I'm gonna counter that. Yeah. Didn't see that coming, did you? In a colorless deck.
It's kind
counter
of
magic.
Kind of a fun space to work in, I think.
Fun and not fun.
I don't know. Like it's really constricting, I would guess. Like you're just kind of like all this stuff that I almost always use. I can't.
I find him more appealing than like Kozilek.
Oh yeah.
At least the mana rocks are kind of just there to keep the game going, not just warp out some guy and then try to hit somebody for 2 and then have a hand to use to discard stuff to try to counter people's resistance using Kozilek. Right? And you can put them in this. Like there's nothing stopping you from putting like.
Oh yeah, there's no reason not to.
Yeah, I'll say one thing about a colorless deck. Like once you have one, it's pretty interchangeable. I mean, we watched Jeff
Jeff's done it a lot.
Switch commanders.
Yeah, he's had a big thing for Eldrazi and the Titans. So, and he's spent through a lot of them.
Well, yeah,
using a lot of the same cards that we've seen in his colorless pattern. All right, dude.
What's the next one?
What do you got next?
So, Slimefoot the Stowaway is pretty dope.
Okay.
Depending on what you want to do. So he's 1, a black and a green for a legendary creature, Fungus. Whenever a sapperling you control dies, Slimefoot the Stowaway deals 1 damage to each opponent, and you gain 1 life. You can pay 4 and create a sapperling creature. He's a 2/3.
Okay.
So I think it needs to be said right away. There's a lot of potential for going infinite on this, right? That he fits into Gave really well. But
yeah,
if we're
I was
talking about
like Gave has a big thing.
Gave
with doing that.
If we're talking about just doing him as his own commander, Rings of Brighthearth and the Basalt Monolith, you have infinite sapperlings because you have infinite colorless, and his activation's 4 to activate.
Oh yeah.
So you can just spin out an infinite number of whatever, and then if they ever die, he'll deal damage to everybody. It's over.
And it's not like you're not going to have sack outlets when you're playing a Golgari deck.
True. So there's definitely that. The other piece that can set him off is if you have a doubling season where he makes 2.
Oh.
And then I think Ashnod's Altar.
Yeah, because it's 4 mana to
Right. So you pay 4 to make 2.
Yeah.
Ashnod. You've got 4 back.
And then Slimefoot himself will.
He will himself. Yeah. You don't even need the Blood Artist there.
Yeah.
So I included the Blood Artist in there, but it's actually
superfluous.
Yeah, it actually kind of is. Yeah, it's like it doesn't really actually do a lot for you to have him in the list.
Okay.
So it's kind of like the level of redundancy that's. But the way I built my list, though, is pretty much like what you're going for is you're just trying to make this deck as board wipe proof as you can get it.
Okay.
So what sticks out about the weird thalids, the other funguses that make saprolings, is that they want to create spore counters, and after they reach their 3rd spore counter, you can remove 3 to make a saproling. Okay. So they kind of like grow a saproling in 3 turns. Okay. Right? Which is kind of slow.
That is slow.
But if you have a lot of them online, in addition to him, like you kind of have like a farm going on.
Yeah.
Like you have like a saproling farm after a while. And I don't know if people are really going to drain removal right away for something like that. Like,
sure.
Hopefully, like there's not another deck that's pulling ahead or at the same speed that calls out a board wipe to crush all this stuff. Oh. But that's where stuff like Rapid Vigor, I guess depending on what the board wipe is, Heroic Intervention, things that just kind of like save them.
Where you're like, I need to keep this in play.
Yeah, and then you don't really care about the saprolings so much. You care about like the Thallid. So like to give you an idea, the Thallid, the Death Spore Thallid is 1 and a black. At the beginning of your upkeep, put a spore counter on Death Spore Thallid. Remove 3 spore counters from Death Spore Thallid. God,
that's a mouthful.
Put a 1/1 green saproling creature token into play. But they all have this other ability sit typically underneath these funguses. So this one says sacrifice a saproling, target creature gets -1/-1 till end of turn.
Yeah.
So you can wipe stuff out with that.
Okay.
Let me find some other Thallids that kind of do the same thing. The Psychotrope Thallid, it's 2 and a green. At the upkeep, you get the spore counter. You remove 3. You create a saproling. So exactly the same text, but the last bottom one is sack a saproling, draw a card.
Okay. So I was gonna say there's the Soothsayer that has pay 2, sack a creature, draw a card. It's kind of a little less like those, but in that realm, I suppose.
Yeah, this is pay 1. You have to sacrifice a saproling to draw a card.
Okay.
Where's another one? The Savage Thallid. So exact same text. Spore counter at the upkeep. Then when you get 3, but then it says sacrifice a saproling, you can regenerate target fungus. So you can regenerate the commander or any of your other Thallids. So that one's good to kind of protect your stuff. The Spore Mound, which is actually a land. Whenever a creature whenever a land enters the battlefield, you get a saproling.
Okay, so it's sort of kind of like a landfall type thing.
Yeah, Spore Solar Thallid. It says remove it puts 1 on each fungus you control, so it boosts their speed at which they get the fungus counters.
Okay,
it's weird. These are all over the place. They were pretty big in Time Spiral.
Yeah,
the Sporloth Ancient. So creatures you control have removed 2 spore counters from this creature. Put a 1/1 green saproling creature. So this reduces the cost from 3 to 2.
Okay.
Isn't that weird?
That is bizarre.
Yeah.
Like there's the Verdaloth Ancient to kind of go along.
And then the new one, the
that.
Tendershoot Dryad.
Oh,
so it's
yeah.
got Ascend, but at the beginning of each upkeep, create a saproling token. And then saprolings you control get +2/+2 as long as you have the City's Blessing.
Okay.
So it's just like saproling it's not, I don't even know if I want to say tribal. Like you're not really interested in getting them up in power. You're just getting like this critical mass.
Yeah, because you just need to use them to kind of like and have death to reap benefits.
Yeah. I put Fallen Ideal in here to kind of do an alternate way to do some commander damage.
Okay.
So it's actually a really good enchantment. I like Brad's done some work with this thing. Like I think it's a good enchantment because it doesn't really go away short of exiling it.
Yeah.
It's 2 and a black. Enchanted creature has flying and it has sacrifice creature. It gets +2/+1. So it turns them into like an aristocrat type thing.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
They get bigger for sacrificing a creature.
Yeah, I like
But what's
that.
really cool is that when Fallen Ideal is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, return it to its owner's hand. So it's kind of like a Rancor type effect.
Yeah, this effect that's it's a sack outlet, and be this nice effect, like you said, the aristocrat type thing.
Yeah,
is not going away.
I'm pretty into this idea. Short of the infinite.
Sure,
what's like the longest way to go? I like it. And then what really is cool about him is that he does damage. So things like Snake Umbra, it's 2 and a green. Because he doesn't say
so you can draw cards from Snake Umbra.
Right. So he's not like a blood artist in that they lose life. It's
gotcha.
He actually deals damage to them. So Snake Umbra will let you draw cards every time a Saproling dies, and same with Keen Sense. If he gains Infect, 10 saps, it's out. So I don't know, man.
There's some ways that you can.
It's pretty cool.
That's a lot of card draw.
It's a pretty cool deck. Proliferate will do the Thallid counter, Spore counter, so Contagion Engine.
Oh, so it's helpful not just with the Infect, but with getting your...
With the Contagion Engine, basically you're making spores every turn. Because you start the turn with adding a Spore counter. Then you proliferate. You have enough, make more Saplings. Turn goes around, you start a turn with the Spore counter. Proliferate. Like, it actually kind of lights it up. Eldrazi Monument is way good with it. You basically can block it perpetually.
Oh, yeah, because they're all indestructible.
Yeah, so no, it's 5 mana. Creatures you control get +1/+1 and have flying and are indestructible. But at the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice a creature. If you can't, sacrifice Eldrazi Monument.
But you're okay with sacking a Saproling because you're going to be...
Pay 4 from Slimefoot to get, if you're really running low.
Yeah, like you should have something. This is a context for that one, for sure.
Definitely like Plants vs. Zombies. Did you ever play that game? Plants vs. Zombies?
No.
Oh, it's the weirdest.
I've seen it around, but I've never played it.
That's what this feels like to me. this whole deck. So yeah, pretty good. Honestly, I really would caution against putting the infinites in the deck. It would just feel like so linear. Like just make your goal like I'm gonna get so many Saprolings that when they try to board me, it's not a good idea for one person or anybody to board me.
Yeah,
you know, because he does it to everybody. Mazarek's in there too. Anytime anybody sacrifices anything, everything gets +1/+1 counters.
Okay.
You know, it's just, I don't know.
There's a lot of benefit you can get from those.
Yeah. And then there's the ones that just make Saplings on everybody's upkeep.
Oh yeah. So I don't know. I think my thoughts are kind of like sticking with what you were just describing of like, you should probably avoid the infinites if you want to have fun. I just think of,
depending on what your meta is about.
Yeah, I mean, what your meta is about. Maybe that is what you're into. But I think of Brad. He spent a lot of time with Saprolings for a little while.
With Gave. But Gave like almost demands that you go in.
Yeah, he did Gave. And that was kind of his thing. He got sort of bored with that. And then he like switched over to doing Savra. And yeah, like he didn't have infinites, but Savra was kind of weird for him to try and work out. He kept us pretty controlled with Savra.
Yeah.
And then
I hated Savra. That was annoying. But that was early on, like in our run. Pure Imaginary Rascal would be pretty good too because of the counters.
That's a good.
You get 2.
Good point.
Every time I put him in there just for the fuck of it. He's not that expensive. He's $1. The Sadistic Hypnotist really shreds the card advantage. You sacrifice a creature, target player discards 2 cards.
Discard 2.
So what sucks is you have to do that at sorcery speed.
Sure.
But if you see somebody kind of like getting that look on their face, like they're going to board wipe. But I don't know. They get punished for board wiping. Like it's not exactly great. Sure. That's what I like about this deck is that it just punishes people for killing your plants.
It's fun to have those sort of damned if you do, damned if you don't. And you need to decide which thing is going to be worse type of a scenario that you're presenting to your opponents.
Yeah. That's the route I took with it.
That's cool.
Cool.
All right.
Next one.
Fuck. I like this, dude, where you're just like, Andy's got all these fucking decks that he's come up with, and we're just blazing through. Like,
yeah.
What are they trying to do?
I don't know. Before I did this, I was like, I don't know. This Saproling one's kind of weird, but now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, nah, I'd be into this.
Well, and the funny thing to me
is hold people off with that, you know.
Oh,
and you can really just leave me alone. Let me work with my plants. You know,
there's so much stuff that our group hasn't
pot over here
touched yet. I'm growing pot over here.
Let me talk about that Triskaidekaphobia.
Yeah, let's hear it. Let's see that one.
I think so. I saw a post, or actually AP sent it to me through Reddit. And he's like, do you think this is okay? I'm like, yeah, I don't know. This one's pretty nuts, but it looks like a blast to play, really, this deck. So it's mono black. The commander is Torgaar Famine Incarnate. So he's 6 black. So he's 8 mana for a 7/6.
Yeah.
But as an additional cost to cast this spell, you may sacrifice any number of creatures. The spell costs 2 less for each creature sacrificed this way. So with 3 creatures on board, he costs just 2 black.
Okay.
Because you can just strip the cost down to that much.
Yeah.
That's pretty fucking awesome, actually. Like, that's way awesome. When Torgaar Famine Incarnate enters the battlefield, up to 1 target player's life total becomes half their starting life total, rounded down. So what's interesting about this is it's their starting life total. It's not where they're at now.
Oh,
so
yeah.
it becomes that. They can go up or they can come down.
Yeah, so sometimes with things like this where you're dealing with people's life total and making it a fraction of that, there's diminishing returns.
Right. So this is a little different. It's just whatever their starting life total is. It becomes half their starting life total. So if they've gained a shit ton of life, it's going to 20.
Yeah.
It's happening.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, they can be at 400 life. Your starting life total was 40. It's 20 now. But if you do a little bit of math here, right?
Okay.
Kyle, if I have 20 apples and or if you have 20 apples and I take away 7 apples, how many apples do you have?
You have 13.
Right. So this is kind of like the go-to jankness. Triskaidekaphobia, which means fear of the number 13. At the beginning of your upkeep, choose 1. Each player with exactly 13 life loses the game. and then each player gains 1 life. Each player with exactly 13 life loses the game, and each player gains 1 life or loses 1 life. So you can kind of like throttle them up and down.
Okay.
Right? God, thank God they reprinted this in Masters 25, dude.
We needed
it. Was
so in
this
demand.
is such a coveted card, dude. Like
nobody can get their
everybody
hands
wants to
on
do
it.
that. So the idea is that Triskaidekaphobia is out. You drop Torgaar. You hit somebody for 7. If they don't figure out their health by the time you get to their upkeep, they're gone.
Right.
Regardless of where they're at. It doesn't, like, it would be hard to do if their life total wasn't, you know what I mean? Like, if their life total was, I don't know, 22 and then you cut it in half, it doesn't work. It's a short one. So the guy's whole idea was to set up this combo and then, or just try to survive around it the entire game. So it's got a lot of like sack outlets to reduce his cost. So like Endrixar, our buddy.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So yeah, Endrixar, Master Breeder. 4 and a black, whenever you cast a creature spell, put X black Thrall creature tokens into the battlefield, where X is that converted mana cost. When you control 7 or more Thralls, sacrifice Endrixar. So he gives you Thralls to have eaten.
So this is perfect for helping Torgaar out.
Yeah, there's one, the Sengir Autocrat. He just comes in with 3 minions that you can eat.
The funny thing though is that casting Torgaar will kill Endrick though, right?
Yeah, but
it's all for the purposes of getting him out.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think there's a lot of like bounce effects in this thing. So I added some kind of like, there's a few things you can do in mono black that if you borrow the strategy from Gonti, getting Torgaar into the Mimic Vat is kind of risky, but what you could do is do some maybe reanimation stuff.
Okay.
Or do the Blood Clock. But that puts him back in your hand. Like his mana cost is pretty prohibitive.
Yeah, 8 mana is high.
Yeah, Blood Clock, the Umbilicus is another one that kind of has basically their upkeep. They have to pay 2 life or they have to bounce a permanent.
Okay.
So you always choose to pull Gonti back when you're playing Gonti.
Sure.
Or the Cloudstorm Curio. What I found is just like, I'm just gonna keep going. You know, like he's big enough. Right?
Yeah, like let me just hit again.
Yeah, so the deck is just full of like token generation of some sort, or creatures that kind of are easy to eat. I don't know about these. This is what I added to it because I always wanted something to eat with this guy. So it's like reassembling Skeleton, right?
Yeah.
Pretty much he's 2 mana. I love this guy. He's 2 mana. And they reprinted him.
I was gonna say it was
dude.
reprinted in M19, dude.
Thank God.
Fuck yeah.
Thank God, reassembling skeletons in standard. 1 in a black, 1 and for a 1/1. But you can pay 1 in a black to return reassembling skeleton from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. So it's kind of 6s that way because you're paying 2 to bring it back when that 2 just goes into Torgaar, if that's what he's there for.
Sure.
But the deck has other stuff that you want to use. So like if you pair him with if you pair him with like Razaketh, it's basically of a demonic tutor.
Oh, right.
Right? It's because Razaketh just says pay 2 life, sacrifice another creature, search your library for a card, and put that card into your hand.
Now
and
you can
shuffle
just
your
pay
library.
2 to get your reassembling
Then
skeleton.
bring the
and
reassembler back, sack, get him again. So Nether Trader is another really good one. It's black haste, but it has shadow. Not that that's super important.
Yeah,
but whenever another creature is put into your graveyard from play, you can pay black, and if you do, return the Nether Trader to the graveyard the graveyard back into play. Okay. So any kind of sacrificing goes on, you can push them back. So yeah, the whole list is kind of like that: sacrificing things, trying to get that Triskaidekaphobia online.
Yes,
right? Creating some tokens. Granting him evasion might be probably pretty important, pretty prescient actually, that you give him evasion, because they're really not. Once they see that enchantment, they kind of they'll see the apples, that they'll have 13 apples.
One of the things that's like, I don't know. I think in Commander, like, it's hard to reliably say that I'm going to get my 7/6 through. Tree of Perdition, dude.
It's in here.
Tree of Perdition.
Tree of Perdition's in here because it just sets them to 13. Tainted Remedies in here.
Who am I going to set at it?
Tainted Remedies in here. And I don't know the interaction here. So if they're below half, I think it just kills them with Tainted Remedy. Because Tainted Remedy says if an opponent would gain life, that player loses that much life instead. Oh. So if you set their life total to higher than where they're at, they would just lose that much.
Okay.
Instead. So I don't know if it gets set to 20, then they lose the difference. It might put them right back to where they started, but it also kind of prevents people from losing life.
Sure.
With Triskaidekaphobia, it's a little bit of a non-bow depending on where their health is at, because there's that second part of that says you give them life.
Yeah, right? So you can't put them back to
they can't go back to 13.
So, but at that point, you just may as well let me just push you down the stairs, dude.
Pretty much. Like if they're pretty low, like it might just okay, you gain a life. Like they're upkeeping into just oblivion eventually.
Right.
It's kind of a long haul. You paying life is actually something that might be valuable in this, because you can set yourself back up. Can you? Or is it target player? Yeah, you can set yourself back to 20. Okay. So if you're greedily diving down with like Necropotence or Greed,
and then you push yourself back up.
That's some fucking value. Like you set yourself back to 20.
Well, yeah. Inevitably with decks like this, stuff like Grey Merchant of Asphodel,
it's in there.
Those things,
Kokoshu's in here too,
become a huge value because you're pushing people down and you're bringing yourself down with it, but then you roll it back up.
Yeah. Pox.
Big Pox.
Yeah, black, big Pox. I wish there was a black, and it's called Big Pox. So we've got Pox, Big Pox, Small Pox. But yeah, each player loses a third of his or her life, then discards a third of their hand, and they sacrifice a third of the creatures they control, then they sacrifice a third of the lands they control.
Yes.
That one's pretty sick in this one too, because why the fuck not?
Right? Oh, yeah.
Repay in kind just sets everybody to the same life total, the lowest. So each player's life total becomes the lowest life total among all players. Well, if everyone's set to 20... Torgaar, Triskaidekaphobia just takes.
Yeah,
down. That's a fucking long shot. Let's be honest. But I don't know. You want to be a star, don't you? You want to win off of Triskaidekaphobia.
I think that's the thing. Is that you have this nice aim of using something like Triskaidekaphobia, but there's also just some really good strategies in here of setting people low, shortening the game, making it hard for people to crawl out of the hole,
paying life.
Yeah.
Revel in Riches is in here as an alternate. So 4 and a black. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, create a colorless treasure artifact token. But if you control 10 or more treasures, you just win the game.
That's okay.
So it wouldn't be hard to eat up that many tokens with how much token generation there's in here. Wound Reflection, they're done. Because you set them to half their life total.
And then they lose that at the end of the turn.
And then they lose that at the end of the turn. So I think that's just a kill.
Is it round up on?
Yeah, it actually rounds up. It's half the. I think.
Oh, it's rounded down, right?
It's hand.
But it doesn't matter.
Down,
it's
but
20.
I don't think it matters because it sets them to half their starting.
Yeah, it's an even life total.
I think the only way it would change is if you're playing Kingdoms or something and they start at 50.
But that doesn't matter still.
Because that's 25.
Because in the case of equal, they're.
Yeah, I don't think it matters. Because it's not wherever their current, right?
Yeah, because it's starting
half
life
their
total.
Starting life total, not their current life total.
Yeah, so in your starting life total is an even number, so it works.
Yeah. Pretty cool. Pretty damn cool. There's that new enchantment that they have where if you control 4 demons, you win the game.
Oh, the contract or whatever.
Yeah, it's like Liliana's contract or whatever. It's like in the brand new core set.
Yeah.
Might be worth it because like total demons, there's the Abhorrent Overlord that's a demon. The Demon of Dark Schemes. I put Demon Lord Bells and Lock in here because I'm like, fuck it. I don't really care about my own life either. It's a suicide deck, dude.
It really is.
I think it was in that dude's original list. And I remember thinking like, but then I'm like, well, who the fuck cares? The commander can set you back to 20.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like as soon as you yourself get below 20, you actually become pretty reckless is what I'm imagining with this. Like, I don't give a shit. So. I'm just going to, yeah. What other demons are there? Yeah, Razaketh. And then, yeah, there's 5 different demons in the deck. But so if you get, I mean, I don't know. It could happen, right?
Yeah, because especially with Razaketh, like Razaketh is going to get you everything and that you need to do.
Where is it? Liliana's contract. Okay, just to read it for reference. It's 3 a black and a black. When Liliana's contract enters the battlefield, you draw 4 cards and you lose 4 life. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 4 or more demons with different names, you win the game. I don't know if anyone's going to try to... Maybe it's... I don't know. Maybe. There's another demon that's basically a wound reflection. He came from Battle Bond.
Oh, right. But it's like 9 mana, I think, or something like that.
I can't remember the name of
it's pretty high.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of that one. It's like Arch... and then there's the other one that's like, it's like the one where everyone has to sacrifice down to 2 creatures, like your opponents.
Yeah, so it's the Archfiend of Despair.
Archfiend, there we go.
So it's 8 mana, so it's 6 and 2 black. Your opponents can't gain life. At the beginning of each end step, each opponent loses life equal to the life that player lost this turn.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah,
pretty.
Wound reflection plus
that might need to come in here if you're going to take that other win con, because that's 3 different cards in the deck that set off a win, right? So Triskaidekaphobia, well, it loses. The Revel in Riches, which I don't know, I just like the card and I like having the mana and things to sacrifice when people ask for it. And then the contract card, right? Liliana's contract.
Yeah.
The other Archfiend of Depravity. At the beginning of each opponent's end step, that player chooses up to 2 creatures he or she controls, then sacrifices the rest. So it could be a good idea to add more demons to this if you're going to do that contract thing.
Sure.
But dude, this is just like a fun black list, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, we've done a lot of mono black and covered a lot of mono black, I think, on the podcast and in our group. Just
I'd rate it like pretty synergistic.
Yeah.
I like it. I mean, I need to find the dude's original post. But I'm like, this is pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, I've got it pulled up here, so I'll definitely put the list into the show notes.
Yeah. I don't think he has like the reoccurring creatures like I put in there.
Sure.
I just wanted to be able to always have something to eat.
Yeah, you need to have something to eat.
I think he's really pressing the pay life button a little bit harder than I am, and I'm pressing the I want to have a sacrifice target more, but who knows how to run it? Yeah.
Okay.
God, I need to build all the decks. Okay.
Right? There's just so many.
Okay, next one.
Let's do it.
Next one. Let's talk about Tetsuko. So this one we in their review we completely fucked it up. I remember thinking like this is trash.
Right.
But
I think we were looking at the power part of it, right?
Yeah.
And kind of I don't know. Well, we were kind of running from the leaks, I think, and we just missed it, that it was the toughness as well.
Yeah, that's the part that we missed. But hey, all right, 1 in the blue, Tetsuko Umezawa Fugitive. Creatures you control with power or toughness, of 1 or less can't be blocked, and she's a 1/3. I love the freaking flavor text. My ancestor Toshiro used to say, life is a series of choices between bad and worse. I'm a master of making great bad choices. This is pretty on the nose for the deck.
That's kind of like this very like nihilistic approach.
This is pretty on the nose for the deck. Like, let me ask you, would you ever run the card Scroll Thief in Commander or even in any deck?
I don't even think I'd put it in any deck.
Yeah, so Scroll Thief is 2 in a blue. Whenever Scroll Thief deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. It's a 1/3. It's just not going to happen.
It doesn't fit in your mill decks or anything. Like just because you're like, no.
Yeah, and Merfolk can run things way leaner than this. Like
right.
It's kind of, it's just, yeah. But with Tetsuko out, it's pretty much a guaranteed source of card draw.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So the old idea, okay, let me kind of preface like what's going on with this deck. If you were to go on to EDH Rec and look up Tetsuko, you're gonna be like, Andy, did you just rip this list from EDH Rec? And I think it's just because there really isn't that many cards. Like what you're looking for is either it has no toughness, one, or no power of one, right?
Yeah.
If you equip one to the other, it won't work. So like to give you an idea, if you give Tetsuko any kind of equipment that increases her power,
she can't go.
She herself can't go. She's no longer blockable because they
I'm a
cleverly
1/3
made her a 1/3.
fuck.
Yeah, she was going to be better if she was a 1/1. Weirdly, that extra 2 toughness kind of limits what you can slap on her.
Right.
So doing commander damage with her actually isn't an option, right? So yeah, if you look at the list, a lot of these will be repeated on here. I'll just go over them because they're. I mean, I don't know. I think this thing is. I want to build it. I think you can do it within a budget.
Yeah.
You know, there's some that I picked that are pretty not budget because I think you kind of need to lean on some other strategy.
Sure.
So what I put together was just everything that did something on combat version of the deck. So ones that kind of stick out would be like the Cephalid Constable. It's 1 and a blue and a blue. Whenever Cephalid Constable deals combat damage to a player, return up to that many target permanents that player controls to their owner's hand. So if you make him a 3/1, you bounce 3 permanents.
Okay.
And this is just annoying.
So it is a 1/1 like you need, and you can rev up its power.
Right. To bounce more permanents.
Yeah.
Right. The Chasm Stalker. It's a 2 and a blue. Whenever you draw a card, you put a +1/+1 counter on Chasm Stalker. Wait a minute, that makes him not blockable, right? Yeah, but when he finally dies, you have a bunch of Island Walk Squid tokens that are 1/1s.
Yeah.
They're Island Walk and they're 1/1s, so they can't be blocked.
Which, fuck yeah.
So it doesn't matter. No one's blocking them with Tetsuko out.
Yeah.
The Daring Saboteur, it's 1 and a blue for a 2/1. When it hits, you can draw a card. And then if you do, you discard a card. So there's a lot of creatures in here that all they were looking to do is just draw a card and then discard a card.
Yeah.
The Eternal of Harsh Truths from Ye Olde Amonkhet, Hour of Devastation. 2 and a blue. Has a flicked 2, but they won't be able to block him. Whenever the Eternal of Harsh Truths attacks and isn't blocked, draw a card. It's a 1/3. Can't be equipped though.
Yes.
The Illusory Ambusher. So it's 4 and a blue. I thought this card was just stupid when I saw this thing before.
Okay.
But got to take what you can get for this deck. 4 and a blue, has flash. It says whenever Illusory Ambusher is dealt damage, draw that many cards. So if somebody lands a Blasphemous Act, it's 13 cards. That would be the best case scenario. But it's a 4/1.
You're just like begging, like, gimme.
Yeah, just do it. Because you can flash in response. Or flash and block. If somebody throws some huge thing at you, you can flash and block and draw that many. But on the other side of it, it's a 4/1, so it's unblockable.
Right.
Looter Il Core, same thing, 1/1. It's even actually has Shadow. Draws a card. It loots for you. Master of Waves. So it comes in equal to your protection from red. It's 3 and a blue for a Merfolk Wizard. They actually reprinted this thing. So there's 2 different arts for it. Yeah, elemental creatures you control get +1/+1. When Master of Waves enters the battlefield, put a number of 1/0 blue elemental creatures tokens into the battlefield equal to your devotion of blue. So with Tetsuko and him, you'll like just bare bones case scenario, you'll get 2.
Yeah.
But they'll be 2/1 unblockables, these elementals, so long as you keep control.
Well, they're oh yeah, you're right, 2/1s.
Yeah, they'd be 2/1s. Because he himself is
It's so weird that they're dependent, their very existence is dependent
on him.
On the Master of Waves being out there.
Yeah.
As soon as that thing's gone, all those elementals like, oh.
Mistblade Shinobi. It's 1/1. Whenever it deals combat damage, you unsummon one of their creatures.
Okay.
The Nurok Commando, another 2/1. It actually has Shroud. Whenever a Nurok Commando deals combat damage to a player, you draw a card. So the whole thing is just full of this stuff. Like you're either drawing cards or whatever. The Riptide Pilferer, which should be a black card, but it came from Planar Chaos where things were acting like they should. But it's a 1/1. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, they discard a card.
Okay.
So normally this stuff just isn't going to get in most commander decks.
Sure.
Like there's a lot of decks, not a lot of decks, but there's a lot of focus on having Sig River Cutthroat do stuff like this.
Right.
But he doesn't really give them a form of evasion like Tetsuko does.
Yeah.
So even though you lose the black side for her, you kind of hang on to like, well, they're not getting blocked.
And you don't have to build a package into your deck to get things through, right? Because that's probably part of the problem with Sig River Cutthroat is you're kind of like, I'm going to benefit from them getting through. But this one's just like, I'm going to get them through.
Yeah. So the whole list is definitely stuff like this. Like the Etherling, if you throttle the Etherling right, it becomes an 8-1 unblockable. If you balance it off. That's a kind of a heavy commitment to do that kind of damage.
Yeah, that's a lot of mana.
But as long as you set him to 8 and keep his health at 1, yeah. And he's kind of a threat that's hard to get rid of.
Yeah, because then you can also exile it to get it out of the way if somebody tries to fuck with it.
Yeah, there's 2 more I wanted to go over that where I thought their on combat triggers are really cool. And then I'll go into like kind of supporting these guys once it gets going. So there's a Root Water Thief, which is like this weird fish beast thing. Something out of like an Arkham horror game. So it's 1 and a blue. You can pay blue. Root Water Thief gains flying until end of turn. So that's not too bad, absent the commander. But here's what's really cool. Whenever the Root Water Thief deals combat damage to a player, you may pay 2. If you do, you can search that player's library for a card and exile it.
You just like, goodbye.
People are not going to like that.
And those combo people's like, you just removed a combo piece. Thanks.
Yeah. Raven Guildmaster. Whenever the Raven, so it's 1 and 2 blue for a 1/1. When Raven Guildmaster deals combat damage to a player, that player exiles the top 10 cards of his or her library. I would suggest you morph this one. Like, because it has a morph of 2 and a blue, so it's about 1 more. But right as you attack, because it's like right before your combat, morph it and then attack.
This one was scary.
Don't leave him out. Yeah.
So Andy got this one out when we were playtesting a little bit, and it was just kind of like, oh, Andy can just mill 10 off of us. You milled an important piece off of my deck.
Yeah, and I gave a double strike, and I was milling 20.
Yeah, because it was 20.
And people freaked the fuck out.
Yeah,
He's not amazing, but I just thought he was cool. Like,
but it's an interesting thing to do. Like when you see a 5th of your deck or a 10th of your deck, and its normal case just get removed from the game.
Yeah, so I've actually tested this deck, and I can say like it's fucking fun to play. Mind Shrieker. It's 1 in the blue, flying. So it's a 1/1 flyer. So it's unblockable.
Yeah.
With Tetsuko. So you attack, and then when they can't declare blockers because they're not allowed to, they're unblockable. When right before combat damage is dealt, you pay 2, and it says target player puts the top card of his or her library into his or her graveyard. The mana curve on this deck's pretty low. I probably wouldn't be picking yourself on this.
Sure.
So you mill somebody. So I don't know, find that Joda player. And then the target player mills the top card of his or her library until the end of the turn. Then the Mistreaker gains X plus X, where the milled card is the mana cost, or is their converted mana cost of the card.
Oh.
So suddenly it will jump the fuck up. And you can keep spamming that ability. It gets dope. That. Like it keeps getting plus. So you can have them mill and have a huge creature. So that's some of the creature kind of ideas about it. So yeah, draw on combat damage effects. They're unblockable. I really wouldn't be putting things in here that are just like a 1/1. I think the only one that I kind of went off on the idea with that was the True Name Nemesis. Because it's a 3/1 that's protected from a creature.
Yeah.
Or protected from a named player. You could, if you don't want to spend that kind of money, get like I don't know, you could, which I wouldn't for a deck like this. Don't fucking buy it. True Name Nemesis. It's not that great of a card.
I was gonna say, wasn't it reprinted in Battle Bond?
It was, but it's still like in the teens. It's like $13 or $14.
It's an expensive card.
There's the Latchkey Fairy, which kind of leads me to my next thing, because that one has it has a prowl cost.
Oh, okay.
So it's pretty low. It's like a 3/1 flyer, but if you pay the prowl cost when it comes into play, you just draw a card. I didn't really include that one that much either because it doesn't do on combat damage, and it didn't have any innate protection. Like I wanted something to like safely equip, and I thought, well, the True Name Nemesis is pretty damn safe.
Yeah.
I guess you could go with an Invisible Stalker because it's hexproof and unblockable. Or I don't know, just find another creature. There's a bunch. Like I don't know. I'm kind of
and it's mono blue, so there's probably going to be some options for you.
Yeah. So since we know things aren't ever really going to be blocked, we can kind of get away with doing stuff that we really don't have to find an opportunity. Like we always have it.
Oh, sure.
I see a lot of lists include this card that I swear if I pulled these out of a booster once, I pulled it out of a booster 1,000 times when we first started playing. So it's called Arm with Ether. It's 2 and a blue. And until the end of the turn, creatures you control gain. Whenever this creature deals combat damage to opponent, you may return target creature that player controls to its owner's hand. This can be used politically to bounce Rex Sages, I guess, or just unsummon somebody who's aggroing you back.
Sure.
Because all of your stuff's going to stick, and then it's just going to get bounced. If you combo this with the double strike, it would do it twice.
Yeah.
That Mistblade Shinobi and the Constable would go off twice. Like you could get rid of their
there's a lot of stuff
their
that you can do
board.
there.
It's really just to kind of stop people from coming at you. You're not really worried about blockers. Another one that would be good is knowledge exploitation. So you don't even need anything more than this because you can hit the prowl cost because Tetsuko is a rogue. So it's 7 mana, 5 in blue, for a tribal sorcery rogue.
Okay.
Search target opponent's library for an instant or a sorcery card. You may play that card without paying the mana cost. Then that player shuffles his or her library. But the prowl cost is actually only 4. So prowl is triggered again when a rogue has dealt damage this turn. So send Tetsuko unequipped to somebody. She hits them for 1. You can do knowledge exploitation. Same is true for Notorious Throng. The prowl cost is actually higher on this one. So it's 3 and a blue. It says put X 1/1 black fairy rogue creature tokens into play where X is the damage dealt to your opponents this turn. You're probably not going to have a lot done there.
Okay.
Maybe. There is ways to kind of start getting pretty crazy sideways.
Sure.
With some other cards in this deck. Like the Master of Waves or something.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I don't see this getting a lot. But the other one is that if Notorious Throng's prowl cost was paid, you just take an extra turn after this one. So the prowl cost for this is 6.
Okay.
So yeah, you get some fairies and then you go again.
Let's do it.
Stolen Identity. 4 a blue and a blue. Put a token onto the battlefield that's a copy of target artifact or creature. So you can pick the best creature on the board, or I guess if you're really nutty, you can pick another unblockable guy that you want to clone. So you keep going, maybe some more Raven Guild Masters.
Yeah.
Right?
Sign me up.
But then what's really cool is it has Cypher. So Cypher was a weird mechanic from the Demir Guild on the second run of Ravnica. Do you remember these? And what it does is it basically like encode. You're based. The way
kind of like a weird enchantment almost, but it's not really an enchantment.
I want them to do this again because I like the instants and sorceries when because we already know we're going back.
Some of the more powerful. Like we definitely
Transmute
use
was
these.
sick too, though. I don't know. I hope we don't get new. Do I want new keywords for all the guilds? I don't know.
There were some good
But this
ones.
one was cool. So pretty much what you're doing is you're like writing extra text onto the card, right? It's not enchanted. Like,
it's not something that can fall off now. Like it's ciphered onto
right. So
that
if you read the actual language, it says cipher. When you may exile this spell card encoded on a creature you control. Whenever that creature deals combat damage to a player, its controller may cast a copy of the encoded card without paying its mana cost.
Yeah.
So it's something that can be countered later.
Sure, because you're casting it again, but...
Yeah. So I'm not sure on this one. I think if you decide to cipher it, it won't go off the first time you cast it. You're choosing to cipher it onto the creature, then hit, and then you get it.
Yeah.
You can't like cast it, clone, and cipher. I really don't think that's how this works. I could be wrong though.
Okay.
Hopefully I'm wrong because that just makes the card that much better.
Sure.
But from then on, every time you connect, you get a new clone of something.
That's dope.
With this creature that won't be blocked. And if it's double strike, well then you grab 2. Some stuff that's not boring about drawing cards. Not that drawing cards is boring, but you know, when you see the list, you'll get the idea. Sigil of Sleep, it's 1 mana. Whenever enchanted creature deals combat damage to a player, you bounce them.
Okay.
So this is actually really good with like Niv Mizzet, actually.
Oh.
Because it says deals damage.
Yeah, so
Niv
he's
Mizzet
like,
can
I dealt
unsummon
damage.
everything. Yeah,
Sign me up for more cards.
You can actually use Sigil of Sleep on Nakusar just for some side tech. Teferi's Veil, I think, is actually pretty damn good for this deck. So it's 1 and a blue. Whenever any creature you control attacks, it phases out at the end of combat.
Oh, so you're keeping your stuff around.
Pretty much, you're never gonna get boarded. Yeah. Are you ever gonna block with these guys? Like, come on. Like,
there's no way.
This is not a deck you're gonna be blocking with. You need to think more like a Spellslinger deck.
I was gonna say this is a Spellslinger's version of a creature deck.
I need like propaganda. You know, like things like that.
Yeah, you probably do.
Probably even need to go take it further and do the dissipation.
I was gonna say
field.
Dissipation field is something that you're gonna want here. Like
So this one's just like, okay, because as soon as they're gone, like as soon as you're like ninjas, rogues, and and gentlemen bastards are all removed, like you're kind of out. You're done, right? Yeah. Let me hurry through the last part of it. Blade of Selves.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. How many Raven Guild Masters do you want?
Give me some fucking copies.
This one is really dope with this deck. It's the Blood Forged Battle Axe. So 1 mana, a enchanted creature gets +2/+0, so it doesn't increase their toughness, which is important. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, you create a token that's a copy of the Blood-Forged battle axe. So, but the crazy thing is that those copies make copies of those copies.
Right.
So
it's kind of exponential in a way.
Yeah, you're just filling up the board with blood-forged battle axes.
Yeah.
Eventually. And they're going to connect because, you're equipping it to your scroll thief or whatever. Well, you actually can't do that on the scroll guy. But anything that's a 1 toughness.
Yeah.
Captain's Claws, equipped creature gets +1/+0. Whenever the equipped creature attacks, put a 1/1 Knight core ally creature into a white core ally creature into the battlefield tapped and attacking. It would also be unblockable. And you just keep getting more and
Give
more.
me some more bodies.
Every time you're attacking, you're getting more 1/1s that can't be blocked. Fire Shrieker to double up on those effects. Mask of Memory to draw some cards.
Mm-hmm.
The Oval Chase Race Dragster. It's a car, dude. I put a car in here, man. Put a car in here. It's a Tesla and everything. So 4 mana, Trample Haste.
So it's got to be a Tesla so that you can sneak in.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah, they're silent. Or it can be a Prius as long as it stays under like 2 miles an hour. So 4 mana, Oval Chase Dragster, Artifact Vehicle, Trample, and Haste. It only needs a crew of 1 power, so Tetsuko, because you're never really going to use her. But it's 6/1, dude.
6/1.
It's unblockable. Yeah, quite a spike. Why the fuck not?
That's fucking.
And what are you going to do, right? What are you gonna do? There's the other one that does the same thing, the Scythe Claw. It itself is immediately unblockable because it comes in with a 1/1 germ, but it gives them +1/+1. So if you equip it to anything else, it kind of shuts itself off. So I didn't include that one, but there is some value in that it itself is unblockable the second you get it.
Right.
Yeah. Spectre's Shroud. It's +1/+0. When it equips, they just discard a card because why the fuck not?
Okay.
I think that's it. Umezawa's Jitte would actually be really good with this deck because it doesn't actually increase their power, and you can attack and in the last second discharge it to increase their, or use it to pick stuff off, or use it to gain life or whatever. And plus, it's kind of flavorful. It's named after the whatever, but it's pricey.
Yeah, that is a flavor pick, but it's
a pricey card
right now.
One last thing before I move on to the next deck.
Okay.
Infect.
Ooh.
Infect probably should and could and does need to happen with this list. I don't think what I just gave you is enough to actually like win any games. It's a fun, annoying, It's kind of like that thing in Hook where they're eating the fake food. And you're like, wow, that was a really cool scene, but
it actually didn't sustain you or anything.
How are they still alive? Forget the flying fairy, if the flying freaking Julia Roberts and whatever. Like,
these kids don't eat real food.
No one's eting real food.
What the fuck?
Suspension of my disbelief has reached its limit with this movie. I can't go any further. They're eating fake ice cream. Yeah, that's kind of what this is.
And getting fat.
And not getting, yeah. There's like a
fat
fat
one. There's the fat kid.
Yeah, there's
like,
a fat kid.
Oh, he's like so happy about his food.
Okay, so adding Infect to this would make the deck a little bit more threatening. You actually don't have a lot of options here. Well, you do and you don't. Really, there's only like a couple cards you can add. I'll just kind of quickly run through them, but I think in the end, you're going to have to win off of proliferating.
Sure.
So the one that sticks, probably the number one that just sticks out with any time you're talking about blue Infect, it's the Blighted Agent. Yeah?
Yeah,
One in a blue, Infect, Blighted Agent is unblockable. It's a 1/1.
Yeah, so it's just getting through.
That's probably just like the number one card that kind of sticks out. But if you kind of go deeper, you have the Ichor Claw Mirror. It's a 1/1. If it's blocked, it gets +2/+2, but it's not going to be.
Sure.
The Necropede, it's a 1/1. If it dies, it gives something a negative 1/1 counter, but that's, I'm not really going over these cards, but this kind of is where I feel like when I make this list, I probably will have to be falling on Infect to make this actually like go the distance to finish the game. So the Phyrexian Digester.
Yeah.
It's a 2/1.
Yeah.
For 3.
Yeah, because you tested this one out a little bit, right? And it was clear that, like, I don't like to throw around the word glass cannon because I don't know that it's a cannon.
It's not a cannon.
But it is.
It's more like a glass.
It is glass for sure.
Sure. It's more like a glass menagerie.
Right. Like you've got
Starring John Malkovich. No, like I don't know how to describe it. Like you're just annoying, dude. Like that's pretty much the list. Without infect, you're just an annoying deck.
But I did find it fragile, where it was kind of like, wow, Andy's accomplishing what he wants to do.
Yeah. This deck,
but then it came undone. It was like, oh,
easily. This deck makes electricity something that people might think about using in Commander.
Okay.
Bye, you bitch. Bye. So yeah, Plague Mirror. It's a 1/1 infect.
Yeah.
Some ones that aren't infect, but they subtly are. Weirdly, the Skyship Plunderer. It's 1 in a blue. Flying, whenever Skyship Plunderer deals combat damage to a player for each kind of counter on target permanent or player, give that permanent or player another counter of that kind. So it doesn't proliferate everybody. It's just one guy that you can kind of like keep giving him more infect.
Yeah.
There's the Thrumming Bird. It's a 1/1 flying for. I actually use this guy for Mizzix.
I was gonna say I've used Thrumming Bird.
Yeah, I used this one for Mizzix, so you can give yourself more experience counters. Like, why the fuck not?
Okay.
Rather than wasting a phase of the game, you can get get another counter.
Yeah.
But it's 1 in a blue, flying. Whenever Thrumming Bird deals combat damage to a player, proliferate.
Okay.
So you just
keep it going.
Yeah, pop up another poison counter.
Yeah.
Viral Drake's a 1/4 flying.
Yeah.
And it itself has an activation that proliferates. So yeah, that kind of thing. Inexorable Tide. Every time you cast a spell, you proliferate.
That's going to be a big one. I would anticipate.
Yeah.
You need to have that.
Yeah. I think that if you're going to make the infect config, you'll probably have to let go of creatures that they just do cute things when they do combat damage. Leave the guys that draw cards, and then the rest are infect.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. And
that makes sense to me.
And then add that sweet proliferate. Or yeah, just stay in Neverland. I mean, you can eat the fake food. It did look pretty delicious.
Like how good would it be like if Peter Pan comes back and there's just a bunch of children's skeletons laying around? Like,
as an adult?
Yeah, like,
well, he would have realized it by then. Well, they're not eating real food here.
He's like, yeah, they don't eat real food. They have no sustenance.
They have no sustenance. Okay. Do you want to do your one before I do mine?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm gonna switch over to my phone as opposed to my laptop for this.
Okay.
I'm gonna be that guy.
Okay.
Because I didn't move my deck list over. But yeah, we're talking Valduk, Keeper of the Flame. This one actually, like, I was really intrigued by as soon as it was leaked. So Valduk, Keeper of the Flame, 2 and a red. At the beginning of combat on your turn, for each aura and equipment attached to Valduk, Keeper of the Flame, create a 3/1 red elemental creature token with trample and haste. Exile those tokens at the beginning of the next end step.
Whoa.
So I don't know. Like, I think when you start looking at Valduk, there's a lot that's open to you by what he's doing. A, like, obviously he's asking for auras. B, obviously he's asking for equipment.
Sure.
So, you want to kind of get yourself into that route of doing things. But then also, like, you're going to end up with a lot of ETBs as a result of having all of these creatures coming in, these elementals that he's creating.
I mean, yeah, that's not a joke at all, though. like having that many come in.
Yeah, so I think there's
potentially
I think he's just an explosion waiting to happen.
Mm-hmm.
is what I would say. My thought with how you're building this guy is you can kind of lean into just getting a lot of really cheap stuff onto him, really cheap auras, really cheap equipment, so you can just pop out a bunch of elementals.
Yeah.
Obviously there's going to be some things that are more.
So you're not really caring about like the quality of what you're equipping him with.
Yeah, like I think you
just
can
want quantity over quality.
Exactly. I think you can have some quality mixed
red,
in there.
Dude, that's not red is not quality.
It's really not. It's really not.
Quantity.
It's like let's just
get in there.
Get in and go fucking do stuff. There's a few things that I think that kind of you're going to get a lot of benefit from them. If you utilize some of those more quality type things.
Okay.
But yeah, you're going to be more focused on just getting a lot of it in there. So let's just go through some really cheap like auras really quickly. Dragon Mantle, 1 red. Enchant creature when Dragon Mantle enters the battlefield, draw a card.
Hey, replaces itself.
We fucking need to draw cards because we're in mono red.
It's cantrip.
Yeah, that's true. Enchanted creature has pay red. This creature gets +1/+0 until end of turn. Dust Corona, 1 mana as well. Enchanted creature gets +2/+0 and can't be blocked by creatures with flying. Like, I love that there's just like this like
he's like ducking.
ogre like ugh.
He's trying to get through the smoke. He's like, just breathe.
Yeah, just breathe. Speaking of breathing, fire breathing, 1 red, also has just the fire breathing.
Okay.
So pay a red, enchanted creature gets +1/+0.
Okay.
So
did you put madcap skills in here?
I did put madcap skills.
Hell yeah, dude.
So madcap skills, 1 and a red, enchanted creature gets +3/+0 and can't be blocked except by 2 or more creatures.
I love drafting that card back in the day.
Oh yeah, that's actually like it's just a good card. If you're using red in your auras, like it's a good one. Messenger speed, 1 red, enchanted creature has trample and haste. So if you want to wait a turn, you can, before casting your commander, you can drop him turn 4, put messenger speed on him. Yeah. So there's that side of things. And then if we're looking at cheap equipment, I have like my whole list of just cheap equipment that I put in here. There's actually some really good ones. So this one usually is going to make it into your vampire decks, but it's just going to be super good here. So Blade of the Blood Chief.
Oh.
So whenever a creature dies, put a 1/1 counter on equipped creature. And if the equipped creature is a vampire, put 2 1/1 counters on it instead. With all those elementals, you can sack them. Obviously, they're exiled.
Right. But if you get some way to eat them.
But yeah, if you get some way in there to eat them.
Like Goblin Bombardment.
Exactly. So Goblin Bombardment.
Fucking love that card.
Or put your...
you can do some combat tricks with that one too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
I'm going to block with the 4/4. Okay, cool. All right. Before end of turn, I'm going to ping this guy off. He's done.
Exactly. I mean, you're probably going to put Ashnod's Altar into your deck. And so just kill them all off.
Those are like some of the best sack outlets in the game.
Oh, yeah.
Ashnod's Altar, Goblin Bombardment.
Exactly. So a card like that, you're going to get him, Valduk, very, very big.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even need to be on Valduk, honestly. It can be on whatever.
Yeah.
Captain's Claws. You mentioned this one in the deck you just described. It's a pretty good one.
It's good. It kind of requires that he attacks, but the equip cost is pretty low.
Sure. And
low enough anyway.
And if you've got other things going on, you can make it so that he's easy to get through. You could put in Cobbled Wings if you want to get some evasion going on. It's 2 for that one, and then it has an equip cost of 1. Grafted War Gear. This is 3 mana, but its equip cost is 0. So equipped creature gets +3/+2, and whenever Grafted War Gear becomes unattached from a creature, sacrifice that creature. Might be me.
Who gives a shit?
Yeah, exactly. Doesn't even fucking matter.
Do you have the Demonic Halberg?
I didn't put that one in. What's that one do?
It gives him 4. It gives him 4/+2.
Okay.
But you just have to sacrifice a creature to equip. Is the only. It's actually a weird sack outlet.
You're
weirdly.
like, fine, I'm into it. Give it to me.
It's just a free equip, I guess. Because that's, I think, going to be the barrier for this because we can't have white, right? We don't
exactly.
That way around it is easy.
Exactly. So there's, like you say, there is some of that barrier. I think you mentioned this one, Infiltration Lens. So it's 1, and it has an equip cost of 1. Whenever an equipped creature becomes blocked by a creature, you may draw 2 cards. There's just, to me, I think it's just like keep your equipment and your aura low to the ground, so that you can just get tons of these elementals.
Yeah, they're 3/1 tramplers. Like they're high value targets.
Oh yeah,
high value tokens.
Exactly. And then of course you're going to want to include Brass Squire. So it has its attach target equipment you control to target creature you control.
Okay.
And then here's kind of the big thing to me that I think. So you've got your auras, your equipments, but then you really want to have your package for just hitting people based off of having all of these ETBs. So the Hellrider, whenever a creature you control attacks, Hellrider deals 1 damage to a defending player. You're going to be reckless with those elementals.
Yeah, you're going to go sideways every time.
Just going to go. So Hellrider.
Does the Hellrider have to attack?
So let's see. So whenever, no, it doesn't. It just says whenever a creature you control attacks, Hellrider deals 1 damage.
Good enough.
So we're into it. You're gonna want to put Perforos, God of the Forge, in here.
Oh yeah.
So whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, Perforos deals 2 damage to each opponent. This is kind of the reason why we want to go really low to the ground with the auras and equipment, because
yeah, I mean the time is running out.
Yeah, like you're going to be able to do this stuff so fast with the creature like Perforos in play.
Dude, if the word red and like if the color red and the word token is showing up, it's Perforos is near.
Yeah, exactly.
Perforos.
You're exactly
near.
Right. You mentioned Goblin Bombardment.
I love that
because you fucking need it.
Because you fucking need it.
Right.
I do. You can pick stuff off. You can take things out. They're gonna go away anyway.
Exactly. Just put them to use
because you dump it into somebody's face.
Exactly.
Oh, I'm loving this, man. I'm loving it.
Warstorm Surge. Whenever a creature enters a battlefield under your control, it deals damage equal to its power to target creature or player. Fuck. What's the one that gives all the creatures?
That one's the mana requirement on that.
It's 6
really
mana.
high.
So, but if you have that one in conjunction with something like Shared Animosity, so whenever a creature you control attack. No, it doesn't work. Doesn't work because it's the ETB, right?
Yeah.
Even still, it's 3. But Shared Animosity is also going to be beneficial because these elementals do have trample.
Yeah, and they're all sharing the same type.
I
mean, a little bit. A little beneficial. Just a little bit.
You're going to get some combat damage in with that one.
For sure. Okay.
I don't know. That's the basic idea. Like, I don't think there's anything particularly special, I guess, about Valduk. Like, it's not... I don't know. Go find your R's and go find your equipment.
He's an uncommon.
He's uncommon.
What do you
but
expecting?
he's gonna. I'm really turned on by him. I was kind of, I kind of held off because I had some other things I wanted to do before building him, and Cam needs to move his Nazan over there. Which, by the way, Hammer of Nazan is a good include in the deck.
Well, yeah, it gives you the auto equip
stuff.
Factory setting for your stuff.
Yeah.
All right, how many is that? How many have we done now?
So let's see. Torgaar,
Tetsuko, Slimefoot,
yeah,
Traxos,
Valduk.
So we've done 5.
We've got one more, dude.
Yeah.
Who you got?
God, I want to just keep going.
Just a whole fucking like. Once we're done with the list that we've done, we just start theory crafting the rest. Like on the spot, we're gonna make them.
So you mentioned this one as your idea. What was your idea for this chick before?
Yeah, so with Tiana, I kind of think that what you can do
is
this
for Brawl you were thinking, or you were thinking?
Well, I think it's probably more effective in Brawl because a Brawl deck is going to be 60 cards, and so you can more
odds of drawing.
So you can more easily land these things, but I still think you could pull it off in Commander, which would be Tiana. Reading her, whenever an aura or equipment you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you can return that card to its owner's hand at the beginning of your next end step. So putting Valduk in a Tiana deck, Valduk's going to keep doing damage. But then also putting Tashar in the deck means that Valduk is never going to go away. And with Tiana, his tools are never going to go away. I think that's an interesting build, but you've kind of come across something that's out in the webosphere.
Yeah. So it's hard to, I'm going to have to figure out who exactly did the original post on Reddit for this one.
Sure.
But this guy did some work. And then I think somebody did like a different one very close that was similar. And then I actually ended up getting turned into an EDH rec article that I think was really good.
Yeah.
But I'm just going to talk about it anyway, because
it's interesting.
Yeah, like if our listeners aren't really covering that stuff, then I want them to kind of know.
Yeah, like you should know.
I actually really like this because of the color identity it's falling into. Yeah, we already know it's Boros, so she's 3, a red and a white. So you want to think like, first you think it's like, well, it's just, there she is, it's a Voltron commander. She likes artifacts. She likes enchantments. That's what Valduk likes.
Exactly.
And if they ever die, they come back to her hand or come back to your hand. The issue here, though, is that if the artifacts, enchantments are attached to her and she goes, they go with her.
Right.
Because it's the end step. It's kind of like a delayed.
Oh,
a delayed state.
So she needs to remain in the on the battlefield for this preservation to occur.
Yeah. So it might take you to the idea of, well, let me just load this thing full of like other creatures that are good to be equipped, like, I don't know, the Mirren Crusader or something. You know, like this just an objectively good creature to have equipment on, or some hexproof something nonsense.
Yeah.
I think what this guy had come up with was, let's do a prison type thing. So I think Zedru, the Great-Hearted, was probably one of your only other commanders that were interested in doing this kind of play style.
Sure.
So the idea is that you have a lot of auras out that deny creatures the ability to attack or block. So what would be emblematic of that effect, right, would be the card Arrest.
Yes.
So it's 2 and a white enchanted creature. Enchanted creature can't attack or block, and its activated abilities can't be activated. So let's say you have some, I don't know, bastard Grenzo player in your play group, Brad, right?
Fuck off.
This shuts that down, and he's in Rakdos, so
yeah.
I don't know, get bent. But let's say he resolves an Ashnod's Altar, and he's that desperate, so he's just like, fine, fuck you, I'm just gonna sacrifice this thing, and now the arrest falls off. Well, because of your very, glass half full, positive, can-do attitude, Angel, it's just gonna pop back into your hand. Dude, read her flavor text, man. Come on, read it.
Dude, well, yeah.
Nothing is too broken to mend.
So
that's a can-do attitude if I ever... She's one of them optimists I keep hearing about.
I'm probably one of those optimists I keep hearing about. I'm about halfway through the Dominaria story. She's fucking annoying.
What? I mean, look at her face.
Like, she's just fucking annoying.
Why? What is she?
Well, so she's the angel that's late to the party.
Okay.
Like the
Avison was really late.
Yeah, like
she made up for it.
Yeah, like the people
have
been
fucked it up again.
Fuck, like hitting the people of Sarah, like the Sarah Church or whatever. They've been praying to Sarah for this like angel to help protect them.
Okay.
Well, like Tiana is the answer to their prayers, but
really, this chick,
but like decades too late. So there's nothing there for her to do, and so she just gets into
what a weird.
She just gets into repairing shit, specifically the weather light. Like, she's just like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do, so I guess I'll become a mechanic. That was Tiana's calling.
Whoa. Talk about, like, trying to fit art to a card to a story.
Right.
I wonder what order those, like, were fired in.
Yeah, I don't know. That would be an interesting to look into. But, okay, this annoying fucking angel, she's got some shit to do with her optimism.
Yeah. Huh. Is she like super optimistic in the story?
Well, yeah, she's kind of like, at first she's one of those like self-deprecating types of people. Just like, oh, I'm fucking, nobody loves me. Fucking, and then someone like hooks her up with a wrench, and she's like, becomes a grease monkey.
Found her purpose.
She's just like,
let's
do it.
She's like actualized. As soon as you hand her a wrench, she's actualized.
She's like, fuck, this was my calling.
God damn. That's interesting. Thanks for bringing the Vorthos.
I know, right? You're welcome.
So I think what I like about this guy's list is that it's elegantly simple.
Okay.
The enchantments stay on other creatures, and you just, you're kind of extorting people slash putting them in prison, limiting what they can do. And even if the creatures die, they pop back. So I think one of the priorities in the deck is to try to give her some sort of indestructibility, so she can evade, because she's got to be in play.
Yeah, she's got to be there for her benefits.
Yeah, so Dark Steel Plate would be really good.
Okay.
Really even indestructibility would be okay, because it's an aura. So even if it itself gets broken, at least she can survive it.
Yeah.
What else? What's another thing that would?
What's the one from
Gift of Immortality?
I was gonna say, would Gift of Immortality work with like the stack on that, where like her thing takes priority? Or
no, because so it says when Gift of Immortality.
She returns, but then the Gift
it wouldn't
be.
I don't think it. I think you control the triggers. Because you control both triggers. So you can choose how this is gonna go.
Okay.
So it's 2 and a white. Whenever enchanted creature dies, return target card to the battlefield under its owner's control. So it's enchanted Tiana. Tiana gets blipped.
Yeah,
now everyone's like, okay, the shit's gone. No, it's not. And then she comes back into play. This goes to the graveyard instead.
Okay.
And then I think it says at the beginning of the next end step,
it comes
so
back. So
because you control its trigger and her trigger, you can just say, They happen at the same time. So you control both. You just say, yeah, I want this one to go into play. And then her ability looks for it, but it's already gone.
Okay.
It's already attached back to her. So she survives, and then her ability looks for the rest of the auras that are out there.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah, so the whole deck is just kind of loaded with these. So like Arrest is a really good one. There's Bonds of Faith, right?
Yeah.
1 and a white, enchanted creature. It gets +2/+2 as long as it's human. Otherwise, it can't attack or block. One that it's pretty damn good with this is the Bound in Moonsilver. It's 2 and a white, enchanted creature. Enchanted creature can't attack or block or transform. I don't know how.
I mean, I guess somebody's got some werewolves out there.
Maybe. Yeah, if you've got that guy in your play group that's trying to make werewolves happen. It's not going to happen. Anyway, enchanted creature can't attack or block, but what's really good about it is sacrifice another permanent. So let's say we go back to that Arrest, right? Yeah. And then you can move this, so you can attach Bound by Moonsilver to a target creature. Activate this ability only once each turn, or anytime you can cast a sorcery. So let's say some new threat enters that's needs dealt with. You can use the Moonsilver to grab the Arrest off something else, release somebody else's, move the Moonsilver onto the new threat, maybe politic with the guy that you originally put the Arrest on a little bit.
Okay.
Right? Something like that. It just gives you the flexibility to move these things around. Right? Captured by the Consulate, 3 and a white, enchant creature you don't control. Enchanted creature can't attack. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, if it has a single target, change the target to enchanted creature if able. So if they're enchanting something with, like, say you have another Voltron or something like that.
Sure.
Like, you can just direct it to this nerfed creature that's nerfed because it can't attack.
You're like, oh, you've got your own gift of immortality? Cool. Let's put it over here.
Right. Or let's say somebody tries to do a kill spell on your Tiana. Sure. You can redirect it to this other thing. It dies. This thing comes back to your hand at the end of it. Do you see how fucked this deck is, dude? Like, yeah, it's just full really of stuff like this. Compulsory Rest, 1 and a white. Enchanted creature can't attack or block. Hey, but the creature gains pay 2 sacrifice that you can gain 2 life.
Yeah.
Then go ahead and do that, but it's gonna put Compulsory Rest right back into your hand.
That's fucking funny.
Curses are actually auras. So putting curses on somebody.
Yeah, because you're enchanting a player.
Yeah, so curses like that could add up. So I would recommend Curse of Opulence. It's just the lowest mana one.
Oh yeah, because you're gonna get yourself some.
Yeah, anytime that person's attacked
some
or
gold or whatever.
Yeah, you'll get anytime they're attacked, the attacker gets gold and you get gold. The Curse of Exhaustion, they can only cast 1 spell each turn. That one's fucked.
I actually really like that one.
Yeah, 2 a white and a white, enchanted player can't cast more than 1 spell a turn.
And the thing to me that's appealing about this, because like whenever you're doing curses, you're kind of like, it's such a final decision. You're like, oh, I've chosen to curse you, and you're fucked the rest of the game with this curse until it's gone. But then somebody can destroy it, and you're like, all right, thanks. Now I'm going to put it on somebody else. Or maybe you're still out of control, you little bastard.
Yeah.
And I'm going to put it back on you.
Moving these around is plausible with her.
Yeah.
Especially with that Arrest with Moonsilver, whatever.
Yeah.
Thing. Curse of Bloodletting, anybody gaining life? Anybody gaining life? Yeah. 3 a red and red, enchant player. If a source would deal damage to the enchanted player, it deals double that damage instead. Ooh. Detainment spell, it's 1 mana. Enchanted creature, activated abilities can't be activated, but then you can move that one around too.
Okay.
That one's like for something that's not necessarily ever going to attack. You just kind of load that onto something that, you really don't want.
Yeah.
Frenzied Fugue. This one actually was a commander only card. 3 and a red, enchant permanent. When Frenzied Fugue enters the battlefield at the beginning or at the beginning of your upkeep, gain control of enchanted permanent until end of turn. Untap that permanent, it gains haste till end of turn. So it's kind of like an always, like, hey, you get it on your upkeep kind of thing, whatever that thing is. They're Planeswalker, you keep pushing off an ultimate, right? You keep setting the down and getting the down effect, which usually are pretty good, but they never get to their ultimate. Their commander, I don't know, you name it. But this thing ain't going anywhere as long as the angel stays in play.
Yeah, yeah.
Another really good one is the Umbras.
I was going to say, like, if you're going to do the whole indestructibility package, you're going to want to grab the Umbras because they're going to take place of the damage and then pop back into your hand.
They synergize very well with her. So the lowest one would be like the Hyena Umbra. It's one red, or sorry, one white. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1, has first strike, whatever. But it says totem armor. If the enchanted creature would be destroyed, instead remove all damage from it and destroy this aura. but then this aura comes back to your hand.
So
at the end of the turn.
So thinking of the Umbras, like, would it be weird to put the Umbra Mystic in? So you put somebody's commander in prison and then.
I thought about, I had the Umbra Mystic on the list for a while, but the thing is that they can, I don't think it says may.
Okay.
Yeah. So if enchanted creature would be destroyed instead. So it's like you replace, you're keeping their creature. Maybe, yeah, because they don't ever get rezoned.
Yeah.
But the thing is these come back at the end of the turn. So there is a turn
so you don't have a chance to
access
recast them anyways. Like,
yeah, but I don't know. The Umbra Mystic would probably be a good card to put in here because it makes all auras everywhere.
Right.
Totem armor.
Right.
So, but then the other one's like Winds of Wrath, where it destroys all non-enchanted creatures. So the ones you can't get to, because because you're right. Like some of the commanders and stuff like that, they're better off not leaving the battlefield.
Right.
The longer they just are they stay in a useless space, the better.
Yeah.
Pariah works really well with her too.
Yes.
So it's 2 and a white enchant creature. All damage that would be dealt to you is dealt to enchanted creature instead.
I like that.
Hey, Traxos, come here, baby. So you get hit with a shit ton of damage. It gets dumped on their commander, and at the end of the turn, it just comes back to your fucking hand, dude. I really like this guy's
really
list,
funny, dude.
It's sick. Yeah,
I love
Soul
it.
Tithe, 1 and a white, enchant non-land permanent. So this one's like any permanent. It's non-land. At the beginning of the upkeep, enchanted permanent's controller they have to sacrifice it unless they rebuy it. So you're making them
keep paying the converted mana cost in order to keep this permanent.
You really want that Dark Steel Forge, dude? How bad do you want that Dark Steel Forge? I'd fucking pay it.
I would pay it for a Dark Steel Forge.
Yeah, but you get what I mean. Like it's fucked. And then even if they don't pay it, the Soul Tithe comes back to you.
Like moving on.
Yeah. Stasis Cocoon and enchanted artifacts activated abilities can't be played. If enchanted artifact is a creature, it can't attack or block. That one's really flexible. You can actually enchant artifacts. You know, hey, let's shut off that Ashnod's altar.
Jeez.
Let's for sure shut off that Ashnod's altar. There's another way to kind of just like push this thing through a little bit. It actually kind of lists back to your to kind of talk about creatures. Let me go to those ones. So there's Aramancer. Yeah, sometimes it's going to leak past. You're going to need to pull him back. Somebody's going to get past your bastardry. The Aratog, sacrifice an enchantment. Aratog gets +2/+2 until the end of the turn. And it's not that big, but again, you actually kind of will be able to move these things around as new threats.
Yeah, like it might be
manifest.
something that you can use somewhere else.
Danitha Caption, Paragon. First strike, vigilance, lifelink, auras, and equipment you cast cost 1 less to cast. So she's just a way to cheap down that cost. The Aura, the Core Spirit Dancer, which was just recently reprinted. So she's only $2 right now, incredibly. But she's specific for Aura spells to draw you cards. So you need her and the Mesa Enchantress. Probably got to happen for sure.
And SRAM.
Sun Titan is really good too because most of these fit under his umbrella of 3 or less in CMC.
Yes. His umbrella.
And then Valduk's in this.
Oh yes, he's a great target
because you can put ethereal armor on him.
Oh,
which will make him really big. But there's actually kind of a weird combo with Valduk.
Okay,
if you do this the correct way. So if Valduk's enchanted and somebody's open and you have the card called Breath of Fury.
Okay.
You've won.
So let's go through it. So Breath of Fury.
So let's say he's enchanted. He makes 1 total. Let's say you're wide open. You have no blockers or not. Let's say, I mean, even if you have a blocker that's less than 3, you'll do it, right? So Breath of Fury, enchant creature you control. When enchanted creature deals combat damage to a player, sacrifice it and attach Breath of Fury to a creature you control. If you do, untap all creatures you control. After this phase, there is an additional combat phase.
So you can just keep going.
So as long as you're able to keep moving because he makes them at combat, right?
Right.
So as long as you're able to move them between the elementals, you'll go into an infinite combat step.
Oh, yeah.
There's also a card called Elemental Mastery that would work with him as well. It says enchanted creature has tap, put X 1/1 elemental creature tokens with haste into the battlefield where X is the creature's power. Remove them from the game at the end of turn. So if you do these on him, well, his power, he can just make them now.
Sure.
And then when they hit, like, so you're just able to like enchant one of the new ones that he's made,
Sure.
the 1/1s, and hit with the Breath of Fury and then move it over.
Okay.
So it's able to just kind of like cycle through.
Yeah.
And you're just chaining off. Well, you probably need a way to just end the game with this.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Like put in a combo like that.
As far as
you close the game.
As far as board wipes, I see that I think I see the whole like Winds of Wrath thing there.
Sure.
I don't really like that one. What I actually like is Divine Reckoning, because you can pick Tiana, or is her name Tiana?
Yeah.
Yeah, is Tiana is your non-killing target and wipe the rest.
Oh yeah.
And then everyone else has to pick one. So yeah, each player chooses a creature he or she controls and they destroy the rest. So they're probably going to pick something that's either already arrested because they are deluding themselves into thinking they're going to deal with it.
Sure.
Or something that isn't arrested, but then you're choosing her, so yours survives, and then this comes back. And what's really good about this is it has flashbacks. So it's kind of like 2 board wipes in one.
Do it again.
Yeah.
I like that. I like you said, it's a bad choice.
Winds of Wrath, I don't know. Maybe. I get what you're saying, though. Like, if you've enchanted commanders, they're basically staying in play.
Right.
Because it destroys all non-enchanted creatures. And then one other thing I added to this deck that doesn't seem... And I honestly don't know if it's needed. I'm kind of following that whole that adage of if is Boros, then Sunforger. Is Boros, then Sunforger.
Well, the nice thing, again, here, coming back to the commander, is...
Yes,
whenever people see the Sunforger,
they look to.
It's kind of like, oh, I need to get that because you have a tutor on a stick, right? And I don't want you tutoring. But,
absolutely.
Hey, guess what? I can get it.
So the Sunforger package is extremely lean on my list. I only included stuff that dealt with specific things, or had a tutor. It's probably I'll be honest, it's probably not super worth it.
Okay,
but I don't know. Is Boros then Sunforger? So if you're gonna do the Sunforger on this list, let's say you just like love this damn thing,
sure.
And this really can go into any color Boros colored thing that you've got going on. So if you've got like a Mardu deck or whatever, right, a Jeskai deck, anything that has this color combination in it, there's a series of cards that make it so the Sunforger thing just keeps going and going and going. Added that to the redundancy of your commander, it's pretty solid. So Sunforger. Right?
Okay.
To read what it does. Do you have it pulled up?
I actually don't have it pulled up.
Okay, I'll just pull it up.
Grab it.
Go to my artifacts on this list. All right, so it's 3 mana. Equipped creature gets +4/+0. And it has, the equipment price is 3. So you can pay 1 and a white, unattached Sunforger, search your library for a red or white instant card with convertive mana cost or 4 or less. Cast that card without paying its mana cost, then shuffle your library. So there's a number of cards that you can use for this. You can use it for a Path of Exile.
Yeah.
You can use Return to Dust with this bad boy. You can actually do Settle the Wreckage now. That will do it. But the first one that you probably should try, depending on how pressured you are at this moment when you've got your Boros Sunforger obligatory artifact going, right, is a card called Tithe. Sorry, it's $15, but it just is really fucking good.
It's going to help you.
So... it's 1 mana, it's an instant. Search your library for a Plains card. If the target opponent controls more lands than you, you may search your library for an additional Plains card, reveal that card, and put them into your hand, then shuffle your library.
Okay. So
the first target that you're going to go find, and I'm going to apologize again, is a land called Mistvale Plains. It's an uncommon from freaking Shadowmoor of all places, right? So Mistvale Plains comes into play, tapped. Which sucks, but here's where you start seeing what I'm talking about. So you can pay white and tap, put target card from your graveyard on the bottom of your library. Play this ability only if you control 2 or more white permanents.
Okay.
So you always pick the other Sunforger targets because it can keep grabbing that Path of Exile over and over and over again.
Right.
You can grab the Settle the Wreckage over and over and over again. I don't see you needing that. What would be really ideal is that you can grab... your Enlightened Tutor over and over and over again and tutor every aura that you possibly could want into play.
That's dope.
So yeah, Enlightened Tutor is an instant. Search your library for an artifact or enchantment card, reveal it, and reveal that card, shuffle your library, and put it on top of it.
Yeah.
So you're going to grab every prison effect. You're going to grab that combo that ends the game pretty much as long as you have openings, which you might... because they're arrested. A lot of these creatures are arrested.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to put people in a position that they can't, right?
Yeah, they're pacified, arrested, imprisoned, things like this.
Yeah.
Chaos Warp. I guess you could keep grabbing a Chaos Warp, but that's if you're just insane. I don't know if you'd really want to do that. Return to Does. You can exile every. It's slow as hell, but I mean, welcome. Man, I feel like I've said this a lot in this episode. You can take what you got to take what you can get. That's an extremely expensive combo. I mean, let's be fucking honest. It's like $15 to $17 for the tithe.
Yeah.
Plus the Enlightened Tutor.
Yeah.
Plus the Misvel planes. You know.
But still,
only the best things in life for Boros players, though, right? You deserve it.
It's fucking.
You deserve it. You're playing Boros, for Christ's sake. You deserve it.
And I think that maybe speaks to why this is an effective Boros commander, because it does card advantage in one of the few ways we've probably ever seen in Boros.
Yeah.
Makes it so that your shit that you
doesn't
play doesn't go away.
And then it's board wipe resistant.
Everything else in Boros goes the fuck away.
Boros Charm is another one that you could Sunforge.
That's true.
Mention that. Make them indestructible.
Dope.
Not that you're super worried about that. Tiana, you don't want to. Yeah, you don't want her dead. But then Enlightened Tutor, your Dark still, whatever.
Sure,
dude. I'm pretty hot for this. I'm pretty hot for this list.
Are you gonna build this one?
I don't know. Should I? I already have that Marquesa politics thing that we did for one of our listeners. I made that fucking list. The whole like deflecting palm kind of thing. Like I feel like this kind of falls into that a little bit.
I guess it's true. It has a similar feel to it.
Yeah.
How would you feel if somebody else in the group had this deck?
I'd laugh. I'd just be like, I mean, what are you gonna do to me? You know what I mean? Like,
what can you do?
What can you do to me? Come on. What are you really gonna do with imprisoning my stuff? Ooh, you know, like. The activated abilities would be fucking annoying. Anything that shuts off my activateds. There's a whole list of cards. We'll put up the other list. There's different ones that are included here and there. Really, it's largely budget, minus my expensive You Deserve It Boros package,
sure.
Boros Sunforger package. There's two other cards I wanted before we shut this down. I think are really good, on the edge of maybe you kind of need this one.
Okay.
So the first, maybe not need for this one, but it would be damn good. The Smokestacks would be very good for
this.
So it's 4 mana. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may put a soot counter on Smokestack. This is an infamous card.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're not being that big of a dick with this one. But
only
here's
a 3-inch dick.
Just a little bit. So it says, at the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player sacrifices a permanent for each soot counter on Smokestack.
Okay.
So they're probably going to sacrifice the stuff you've arrested, you would think.
Gee, thanks,
it
guys.
just pulls it back into your hand. Or you can sack those permanents and they just come back to your hand. Like either way. So if they don't sack the guy that you've arrested, then you just sacrifice the arrest on your turn.
Sure.
And at the end of the turn, it's back in your hand again. And then the second piece that would be, I feel like is actually kind of important for this list.
Okay.
Is Vidalcan Orrery. If it doesn't get reprinted this year, I'm going to freak the fuck out.
Yeah.
We already know that Wizards is way fucking in tune with whatever the command zone is doing. And I am blaming them for the freaking price of this card.
Right.
I remember when it wasn't high. And sorry, they're right. It's a damn good card.
Yeah,
and
they are.
The price is just shot the fuck up. So it's at $20. But they come back into your hand at the end of the turn. So
you want to be able to play these again before your next
almost
turn.
Right away. Yeah. Like a lot of the time people, yeah.
Yeah.
You want to be able to like just flash them back out. Like, no, you can't attack or block. You know, like
hold on.
Whoa, but wait, hang on. In response, you can't attack. Right, Brad? You're under arrest. You're under arrest, citizen. So
am I under arrest?
Those two would be really
actually.
good. The Smokestack's not that pricey. It's like $6. You know. And eventually, like, if you can't stay ahead of it, just drop the Smokestacks. Like, if you're not getting enough of these things going in and out of it or whatever. The Sunforger thing probably could go, and you can pick some more cute enchantments. But I don't know. I just feel like if you're going to play a Boros deck, you really do need something that's solid and hard for people to, like, kind of get through.
Oh, yeah.
And the Sunforger package. But I don't know, man. The list is good.
This is a solid list.
There's some, yeah.
It's solid.
All the ones I've seen don't include any Sunforger stuff. And think about what you really need for Sunforger. You don't need like all the instants and sorceries. You need something that deals with probably enchants and artifacts.
Yeah.
Return to Dust. You need something that deals with creatures. So depending on the meta, it's either Path to Exile or
Swords to
Plowshares or Settle the Wreckage.
Oh yeah,
one of those two, depending on like what kind of meta you're in. If you're in a very wide meta, then Settle the Wreckage.
Sure.
And then you need something that can tutor your own stuff out to really like, okay, should I not need to answer anything? Then I need to make problems for people.
Right.
So if I'm not going to be answering stuff with Sunforger, you want to be unequipping that Sunforger every turn.
Oh, yeah.
If you have this Mistveil Plains Tithe thing going.
Sure.
So then you want something that just like, well, I can't think of anything better than the Enlightened Tutor because it grabs everything that's related to your commander, like all your Auras and enchants.
Yeah, it
puts
you in a position
equipment.
that you can end step with that one and then draw the card that you just tutored and play it on your turn.
Right. And then I think maybe the fifth one is either like a wild card, like maybe, I mean, can't get much wilder than Chaos Warp.
Oh, yeah.
Or if you've got a lot of enchant or a lot of instant sorcery bullshit going on in your thing, maybe the Reiterate.
Okay.
You can pull a copy. Probably a good idea for that would just be something like Boros Charm to protect your stuff.
Yeah.
So you can keep Boros Charming if somebody's kind of getting on you. But that's probably it.
Yeah, I mean, it's
you don't
like
need
you
like
can
10
go.
Yeah, I was gonna say the package doesn't need to be that big.
Yeah, like you can get yourself pretty deep with one of those
and if
packages.
You draw and resolve any of these, if you do the Tithe into Mistveil Plains, you can just put them back and then get into it.
Yeah.
Like this, you can realize this loop on its own pretty well.
Sure.
And plus, yeah, like you were saying, like she protects the actual Sunforger, which is a high value target for
your opponents. It really is.
That list is dope.
That list is really cool. I'm excited. For
and the Torgaar list. That guy came up with something fucking funny for sure.
I like it. These have been some flavorful ones because I think Dominaria gave us a lot, and it gave us some that are pretty straightforward.
We just couldn't do them all. There's no way.
Yeah.
There's still we never talked about Joda. Joda's nuts.
Yeah, Joda is nuts. We also didn't do Muldrotha, but plenty of people have covered Muldrotha. Like that's not something we need to get into. But there's a lot out there. These were some cool ones.
Which one was your favorite?
I
think Valduk is pretty dope. But I'm a sucker for
like red. So there's two things. Like it's a toss up between Valduk and Tiana for me because I've had a hard on for Boros since the beginning of time.
Oh yeah.
And I just want to see it succeed, and I think she succeeds. And then Valduk, like I've actually never done mono red, and he's fucking dope.
He is.
Because there's some things you can kind of get online. Like you presented kind of that combo you can do with him to kind of just get things looping. If there's somebody open, just get your combats.
Yeah, he's part of that. He's in both.
So, you can do that.
He's in both.
Yeah. Yeah, and then like I don't know. I think Cam's going to be doing Valduk, so I'm probably more interested in Tiana at
doing the prison shit.
Yeah.
God, that's going to annoy people for sure.
I'm into
that
it.
Yidris is just done. That Yidris deck is bye.
Like, see ya.
You're right. That Yidris deck is bye for sure.
We kind of
the Tetsuko list is a little bit kind of like
sure.
I'm dumb enough to make it. I'm gonna do it. I like it. I like the idea of just being
I think
really,
I think of all
annoying.
The things that we've done in this podcast where we did that series of monocolor commanders.
Yeah, I had fun with that.
I think that like has influenced you and I deeply. We've been sort of obsessed with monocolor commanders.
Hell yeah,
this year.
dude. Hell yeah, we've been way obsessed with them.
Like I've got them all except for mono red now. Like I've got the other four. And you've been like just searching for that mono blue deck.
Well, I made Nezahal, and the Nezahal deck I made is sick as hell. I love that big.
Nezahal's cool.
But he is 7 mana. Like he's heavy for sure to get out, and he has no evasion. But damn, everything else on him is just so stacked. So I'm interested in doing Tetsuko. And then the Slimefoot deck is actually pretty cool. Like I like the whole like don't board wipe me. Let me just keep making more of these things. But then eventually you're just gonna do it yourself, and then drain everybody out with him. You can do the infinite thing. I think he has the potential to be more competitive than the rest of these lists.
I would say so.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
like that's not hard to fall into
more
something.
higher tiered commander than the others.
Weirdly, and he's an uncommon too.
Yeah.
Plus, he's a fungus.
Oh yeah,
he's a fungus. When are we gonna get another fungus legend? That has not happened.
Got to jump on that shit.
Yeah, got to buy those fungus legends while you can. They're hot.
Well, Andy, was it the time of your life, Dominaria?
Was it?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. There's just a lot of legends. It's just like legend fatigue, Dominaria, and we're already like how many sets out after since then?
We've seen Battle Bond
and 2019.
M19, and now we've got.
I just wanted to give this one some justice because if there's a regular like release set that's for Commander players, it was the Dominaria set. Legends matter, and I don't know if they'll be revisiting that for a while.
It would be hard to.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Cool, man. Job. We're done. Did it. Sick.
We're out.